a few minutes and let some people get on here first.
If you join us, let us know where you're watching from. Say hi.
Hi, Emily. Emily from Louisiana is with us. Have a few people joining us right now.
Hi, Annie. Jerry, Melissa,
And Corey.
and Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Hi, Corey.
All right.
You're going to join come hell or high water.
All right.
All right. We're going to go ahead and get started, everyone. We have some special guests with us today. We have Vince, Sandy, and Zena's on the phone on the other end, and they are the 3 founders of Coat Defense.
Okay, make sure that you get all of your questions in the comments. We have some special giveaways today. 2 lucky winners are going to win 1 powder and 1 paste of their choice, whether it be horse or pet. And then we also have a special little giveaway today. So listen carefully. The first 25 people who PM us with, I have a little cheat sheet here. PM Valley Vet with hashtag Code Defense Winner, your name, your address, and your email address. And the first 25 people that are going to get a travel size powder and paste in the mail.
Oh, yeah, show it to them. Show them the paste, too.
Where's the music coming from?
Yeah, where's that music from?
It's coming from our phone.
Our phone? Oh, I thought we turned it off.
Tracy?
And we have some musical entertainment for you today.
That's our little Google Voice number. So we always answer the
We
phone when people
multitask.
call.
We never not answer.
We have this really old-fashioned perspective. When someone calls and says, I really need to talk to someone,
It's a person.
we have a human answer the phone. They may not know what they're talking about, but they answer.
Wonderful. Okay, so with that, Vince and Sandy and Zena, we are going to turn it over to you, and you have the floor now.
Well, thanks very much. We certainly appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, we met the folks at Valley Vet at, I think, one of the horse events in Ohio. But we've been around for about 4 years now. And one of the reasons we've been around for so long, we were in business for 10. Sandy had a passion based on some health problems she had about not putting chemicals on her skin. She found a naturalist doctor that helped her get over, some pretty rough health issues. And she became a Debbie Downer, is what I like to call her, about different chemicals and what certain chemicals can do to skin. And that hobby, she turned into a business. And it was called Bosque. But our number 1 seller at our organic skincare company was called Cucumber Mint Deodorant Powder. And we have a new version of that today, which looks a lot like the Horsepowder, but it has organic cornstarch. And it's under the brand called CD Clean. And I'll get my directions down. But it is a deodorant powder, and I basically use this, and Sandy's been using this every day for about 20 years. One day, Zena, are you still there?
I'm here.
Zena was presented with one of these powders as a gift and decided, I don't need this deodorant, but has bentonite clay in. Maybe it'll help dry out my mare, Jade. Was it Jade at the time?
Yes.
And anyway, she used this human deodorant powder on the back of her horse and
To dry sweat
to dry sweat.
when it was too cold for a hose.
And she called Sandy to report what happened. She said, "Can you make this powder in larger containers?" And Sandy said, "Why?" She said, "Well, it made the rain rock fall off my mare." And
I said, "What's a mare and what's rain rock?" And I thought I would never talk to her again because I was not going into the horse business because, to put time and money into something that I was completely alien to. I'd never even been on a horse. And I was really kind to her because she was so sweet and there was a passion in her voice. Like she just kept saying, "You don't understand how big of a problem this is. And you don't understand that this worked right in front of my eyes. And I am 99.999% sure you can sell a ton of this." And I said, "Well, let me just talk to my partner, my husband, Vince, right here, and I'll call you back." And I thought, I'm never calling her back because she's crazy. I'm not doing this. And I walked in. I remember Vince was working at his computer, and he just rolled his eyes. But long story short, he took the powder to a little venting barn up the street and asked if they had any fungus. And they said they did, and they'd be willing to try it. And I think we got a text within 4 hours that said, "This has removed all fungus from all horses. We put it on. We need more." And at that point, we were like, wow, maybe we should look at this. And we went to a couple horse shows and handed out samples. And the same thing kept happening. We kept getting texts, and then we went to barns. So I would say we tried it, really tested it probably for 6 months. And the response was overwhelming that it was, we would hear words like revolutionary, game changer. And then like some of the top riders in the world started calling and asking if we would sponsor them. And we were like, well, yeah, what does that mean? We were thinking like Tiger Woods and Nike, that we would have to pay them all this money, and all they wanted was product. We were like, oh, of course, you'll wear our swag, of course. So we, right out of the gates, we got a lot of validation. And then Vince went down to Wellington and Ocala for the winter season and just started knocking on doors and handing out samples. And that was the start of it. We got into some big feed stores in Ocala. And then we started going to some, events. And that's how we started. And I'd say we really started to take off when we learned Facebook and we learned how to run ads.
So we like to say we're human tested, animal approved, because nothing that goes into any of our products is caustic in any way harmful. We check it out with a third-party database of peer-reviewed science. And we're very excited so that when our horse customers started sending, and horse customers, I got to say, we're so grateful to you folks because you're willing to try something new because you just want something that works. But we started seeing pictures of dogs that were on Apoquel, that were itching, that were on Cytopoint shots, that were on, God knows how many heavy duty steroids. And people are using this powder on their dogs and finding that it provides relief. So we do have a line of products for dogs. And it has cedarwood oil versus peppermint oil, but it's the same foundation. And we found that our dog business is twice the size of our horse business. And that's been for 1 year. We've only been in the dog business.
Yeah, so for both lines of products were accidents. We weren't sitting around, as you know, trying to figure out how to help horses. And then the horse people kind of was a nice warm pull into the dog market. And I just wanted to say, I forgot to say, the paste came out of that very first barn.
That's right.
Had scratches on the legs, and they were putting the powder on the scratches, and they were trying to wet it to make it stick because of gravity. It was having a hard time. So we said, oh, we need a paste. And that's the paste. We originally thought we just had a rain rot and scratches product, but it turned out to be like unbelievable wound care. People use it for proud flesh, sweet itch, and then people started using it. Like if they get a bee sting, bug bite, poison ivy, it works the same. So
You've all seen this paste. It looks like gray peanut butter, but if you turn it on, I'll show you how this dries in a minute, but you put it on just like peanut butter and it smells great. And it is one-step wound care. But if you've got a bee sting or some poison ivy, that is the miracle. But that's all you do. Horses will be horses, right? They bump into fences, they bump into poles, they scratch themselves bloody. You put this on, this itch stops. So people use it both for sweet itch at the base of tails. They dilute it with witch hazel, and they use it for a bug shield. So, the number of uses for coat defense powder, from getting rid of rain rot to keeping my blankets fresh, making sure I'm preventing it, making sure I don't get boot rubs. The list of uses for this product is wide, and it works for mammals, and it's great for skin. So we're just appreciative. We see there's a lot of questions building up.
let's
That's
let
kind
Zena
of our
tell about the
background.
uses, because Zena has a whole herd. Why don't you share with them all the uses for the powder and the paste that you use it for?
Oh my gosh, it's really never ending. I mean, as any horse owner would know, there's just always something that you're needing it for. I mean, between riding in the colder weather and putting it under your saddle pad for sweat wicking, so we always want to protect the skin in the area from any potential trouble sources. So the powder is wonderful under girths. It stops cinch golding. It's you use it to freshen them up. You can use the paste on. I use the paste on pretty much everything. Wound care. My horses and donkeys, there's little biting flies like to get inside their ears. I thin it out a little bit, put a little bit on the inside of the ear, and it keeps those biting flies, gnats out of there. I mean, there's just extraordinary amount of uses for both of the products. I mean, I literally am coming up with stuff every day because there's always something going on with one of my many steeds and donkeys and mules. So absolutely, it's got a lot of uses.
Well, super. I see a lot of questions that are popping up here. Maybe we'll turn this back to Melissa and Melanie.
Yeah, the first question we had up here was from Caitlin, and she said, I have a dog who gets very itchy skin, and I have not found anything for taking her except for taking her to the vet, for a steroid shot. She said that she will chew on herself until she makes sores. So do you think this would help her?
It's a complicated question. Itchy skin is complicated. Sure, we have things that will help, but one of the reasons that dog skin itch, and dogs are much more sensitive than horses skin wise. People are in the middle. It's dog, people, sensitive. Horses are a little tougher. But what we found with dogs is that their skin dries out quickly. And what's in every shampoo, whether it's Johnson & Johnson's or Mane and Tail
Or medicated.
or anything, is sodium lauryl sulfate, which is an industrial surfactant. When we found out that they were soaking dogs in chlorhexidine, coal tar, these are skin allergens. And we brought our human shampoo over for those dog owners, and we're finding that this CD Clean brand of human stuff that's being used on both dogs and horses, very concentrated. It's aloe is the number one ingredient. It's calming, but what it doesn't do is dry out the skin. Emily does all our Facebook work. She's been on Selsun Blue for 10 years because her scalp, she has dandruff, but she is no longer on Selsun Blue because she's on this, because it doesn't dry out. It's got naturally saponified coconut oil. It's real soap instead of sodium lauryl sulfate, which is a
No,
it does-
sodium lauryl sulfate is a detergent. It's the foaming chemical. It's what makes everything bubble.
right.
But a lot of the chemicals in any formula and any shampoo are derived from petroleum, whether it's the fragrance, the preservatives. And so what happens oftentimes is they're actually known skin allergens. So you could have a very healthy puppy and start putting these chemicals on, and they'll have an immune response. They'll start getting itchy skin, and it never occurs to anyone really, because I talk to people on the phone all day, every day, that they're having a reaction to a product. They just think it's an allergy to grass or something they're eating. And oftentimes, I'll hear from people and say, your shampoo cleared up my dog. And I'll say, no, it really wasn't the shampoo. It was, I always give the metaphor, if you're banging your head against a wall and it's bleeding, and then when you stop, it stops bleeding. It's the same with, you stop putting chemicals on a dog and their immune system is brilliant. It'll heal the skin. And I think the second part too is will your products help her itchy dog? If the itch is caused by a microbe like a yeast, a fungus, even a parasite like a mite, it will work 100% of the time, our preventative powder, because it changes the terrain on the skin so these little pests can't survive there anymore. If the itching is caused by an allergy, that's a systemic immune response, which means there's a lot of variables involved. Like, if my daughter eats a strawberry, she'll break out in hives. I've identified the strawberry and I can remove it and she doesn't break out in hives anymore.
And the powder helps a little, but it's not the cause.
We hear from people all the time whose dogs are on, the steroid shots, the Apoquel.
Point, yeah, trazodone, name it.
Well, they say the powder fixed it. And one of two things is going on. Either there's something going on with the powder, which we have not identified the mechanism, or the dog had yeast and they didn't know it.
That's the case 80% of the time.
Or
it's yeast.
The vet diagnosed them with allergies and it was never allergies. It was,
a yeast infection.
Something in the skin the whole time.
Right.
But, we have a really good, track record with the powder. I can't tell you how many comments we see under our ads. And we don't know these people, they're unsolicited, and we're just as stunned as the next person. Like, they don't even sound real, they're so incredible. So we know that there's people out there that get their dogs off of all these medications just by using the powder and the shampoo. So it's definitely worth a try.
Hope that helped, Caitlin.
Melissa kind of had the same question. She said, can we use the horse powder on dogs? I think you basically just answered that.
Sure.
The only difference in the two formulas is how they're scented, and the horse products are scented with peppermint oil and the dog products are scented with cedar wood, which is also a natural tick and flea repellent, the smell of cedar wood oil. But both are effective.
I use both under my arms. I like the dog powder better.
Debbie had asked, what about cats?
Yeah, cats aren't supposed to be around peppermint, we found out, and that made us change the formula for the, used to just be Coat Defense Canine, and we changed it to Coat Defense Canine and Cats. And we took the peppermint out and put the cedar wood oil in because it's safe for both cats and dogs. Cats do a lot of grooming, so we don't recommend the powder as an everyday product because we don't think they should be licking it every day, but it is good for a remedy. I mean, we've had unbelievable cat stories of itchy, bald cats that, again, stunning before and after pictures just from the powder. So I would use, if the cat is itching because, again, of a pathogenic microbe or a parasite, I would use it as a remedy. And I would not, only because I would worry about the cats licking it nonstop. And just make sure you get it down to the skin because cats generally just groom their fur.
Sure.
Nikki said, my little dog's nose is raw on top. Would this help?
Zena,
No, I wouldn't recommend either products for the nose area because the paste in itself is a drying agent. So we don't want to strip any more of the natural oil out of the snout or any moisture out of the nose. So neither one of these products I would recommend for a dog's nose. Maybe coconut oil is a nice moisturizer, and that would help.
Right.
but we are on our list of new products is a salve
We're coming out with a balm.
for dry paws and noses. You know, the pads get dry.
Cool. Julia had asked if it works on feather mites on horses.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's very common in the gypsy, any horses with feathers. And the powder is a fantastic preventative and treatment for that. Just get it right down into the skin and brush it through the feather, and it works fantastic.
You guys hear Zena okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Zena.
Yeah, that was that one. Okay, so maybe this. Yeah, that one. Water resistant.
Kathleen said, glad to see there is a product like this. My horse has some patches of crusty areas by her withers. Is the paste kind of water resistant?
Kind of. It's kind of water resistant. It dries into a hard shell, and if you try to take it off, you'll know that you need a lot of water to get it off. But I mean, it's got bentonite clay in it. It's a mask. So I don't know if you can tell. 10 minutes ago, I put this on. You see the edges drying. It takes about 10 minutes to completely dry. So it gets moist. Like when it's on poison ivy and it's drawing, it'll stay looking moist if there's ooze to draw out. But it won't just rinse off is the answer. Does that help?
Linda asked if it is good on cannon crud, and I've never heard of that. So
Yeah, you want to use this on cannon crud.
Yeah, you want to use the paste. The paste is great on cannon crud. Well, both the paste and the powder, but I'm particularly using the paste on the cannon crud.
That's what she meant to say.
Cannon crud. So the best and easiest way to use it is get it right in there, kind of scratch it down to the skin, and then smooth it over. Use a pretty good portion of it, smooth it down, and leave it on. And you should only have to reapply that every few days. And within a couple of 2-3 days, that whole cannon crud fungus should be completely alleviated.
very good.
All right. Annie asked, she said, so this is good for systemic allergies, yes?
No.
No.
I mean, here's my answer. We hear from people on a daily basis, either in a comment or a review on our site, that their allergic dog stopped scratching and they're thrilled. Like, I mean, even things like you saved my dog's life. I slept for the first time ever. So
Right.
The only reason we say no is because it's not a medication. It's we don't know what mechanism at play is calming the itch.
Is that a dog or a horse question?
I'm not sure. Anne, can you confirm for us if that was a question for a dog or a horse? We'll
Because
see if
sweet itch is a great example of what could be systemic or what could be a localized allergy. 10% of the horses get sweet itch. And Zena has Luna, who is our model. When she doesn't put the powder on Luna and there's a bite, it becomes a golf ball. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Inflamed.
it's just an inflamed, but it's a local reaction.
Right.
Some horses, and it's to the saliva. And by putting powder on, it doesn't make her less local reaction, less reactive to it. It just makes less saliva because there's bentonite clay and, all these natural ingredients in this powder on the skin, soaking up some of that saliva. So instead of a golf ball size welt, there'll be a thumbnail size welt or a pinky size welt.
And the powder actually makes because the powder's on the skin and on the coat, it actually makes it less appetizing for those biting flies and stuff to want to even land on our biter, because they're like, ew, what's this?
Sure. But
Anne did confirm that was a horse question. She said to gnats.
Some horses, thank you. Some horses will get that same bite, but they'll erupt on their whole body. It'll be like a systemic reaction of hives to that same bite. Whether it's a fly that creates a local golf ball size reaction, or whether it's a tiny little no-see-em bite, sometimes horses get that they react systemically. And, the question is, how does it help? You can help locally by applying paste on top of the bite, and it'll calm it down afterwards. But how do you help a systemic issue? What we usually find is putting natural things on the skin that help and don't hurt. And in a lot of cases, we have people who use fly sheets religiously who dilute this paste down and wind up painting bellies and ears with that, just so they won't get bitten.
It's a barrier.
But a systemic reaction, systemic allergic reaction is very hard to take credit for being able to solve.
Correct, yes.
But we do know that the paste on any type of bite calms the itch right down.
Oh, yeah.
And it draws, so.
Yeah, not the poison and
it'll draw it out.
Yeah, it's a great after the fact. The issue is, how do we help in the beginning? And what a lot of people wind up doing, or in fact, we'll probably have a new sweet itch product out this summer, which will be less of a jar paste, but more of like an Elmer's glue consistency, which will be, what we decided? So eucalyptus, and it flows much better, so that when you want to get the anti-itch properties, you can get it down to the dock of the mane and to the dock of the tail,
so
that you can soothe, get it down to the skin easier is our mission.
All right. Ava said, I think I understand you recommend coat defense as a natural treatment without chemicals. Would this replace Malateb shampoo wipes for rain rot, flaky skin on a horse?
Oh, I
Yes.
hope so.
Go ahead, Zena.
Go ahead, Zena.
Yes, it's definitely way better than any of those things, and a little goes a long way with it as well.
Great. That looks kind of like the tail end of our questions here. Did you have anything else to add, any of you, before we pick our winners today?
I have something to add.
Okay.
So at the beginning, when we first got started, we would get, like I said, we were starting to get calls from professional riders to asking if we would sponsor them. And whenever I would ask them why, they would use words like revolutionary and game changer. And I said, why? And they said, because it's the first time in the history of being a rider where we've ever been able to prevent anything. And for them, that's huge money and time. And they said, since we've been using this powder, we just don't get fungus. We just don't get scratches.
Yeah, we've
It's
got
like
the top cutter in the U.S. who has domesticated his horses after every road trip, who no longer gets scratches because he puts this powder
In the polar rats.
under his polo wraps. Like, it's simple as that.
But I think, saying that we are changing grooming behavior, as there's never been anything that you've been able to use to prevent issues. And, we like to say the best offense is a good defense, or an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And, we came out with this refill bag, 4 pounds, because people were asking. And that's how much people are using it to prevent issues. And no one wants to see their horse, in pain, any kind of pain. So, there's so many uses, but I think the big, we are the only one in the space, I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, of prevention.
Avoiding the problems.
Before they happen in a safe way without, so many of the products out there, you have to use gloves, don't touch them, don't breathe them. I mean, you can almost bake a cake with the ingredients and what we have. So we think they're magical, and we are in gratitude that Zena called us that day, because not only is our business thriving, but just to hear how many animals we're helping on a daily basis, is priceless. To get those phone calls, those comments. I mean, people are in tears, literally. And, they constantly say things like, I wish I would have found you, 10 years ago, I wasted so much money at the vet. Those kind of comments come in daily, not once. I mean, Zena sends me screenshots of comments. I can't even keep up with them, because we store them. So, I just wanted to say that's kind of our distinction, is that we are a preventative and we're safe.
Well, thank you so much.
Kathleen did have another question come in, and she wanted to know if these products have fly repellent in them.
They do not.
No.
Right,
They do not.
here, and I know you guys talked about this. Lori had asked if she could use the Horsepowder on her cat, and I know you said you didn't recommend that because of the peppermint.
We would recommend the canine and cat because of the cedarwood oil is safe for cats. Although I will say this, we've had a ton of people use the horse products on barn cats, kind of feral barn cats, when they can get near them. And they've never had a problem. It cleared up the mange or, whatever was on the particular cat. I've seen before and after pictures of, they would put the food out and the cat would be eating and they'd be shaking the powder on the cat. And she's like, look what it did for this cat. So I know the Horsepowder, even though people, I think when people were commenting, don't put peppermint oil near a cat, a lot of people use oils therapeutically right now and straight. I think what it really means is don't pour straight peppermint oil on a cat. There's such a little bit in there. Vince, I'm on the screen.
Yes, I hear you.
I know, but
Okay.
Anyway, there's such. It's our last ingredient, and I've used it on my own cat with the peppermint, and I didn't have a problem. So
Okay. Perfect.
Melissa wants to know if we still make lip balm.
we do the best lip balms ever.
Beeswax.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well,
All right, before we draw our two winners, we have two winners who are going to get their choice of one powder and one paste, either horse or pet. But besides that, and we mentioned that at the beginning, the first 25 to send us a PM with hashtag Coat Defense winner, your name, your address, and your email are going to get a travel size powder and paste. So make sure you send us that so you can maybe be one of those lucky 25 winners.
and we will ship in the US.
Oh, ship in the US, yes. And we have a ton of comments on here. People are thanking you and showing a lot of love for your product. So it looks like we have a lot of people who already use Coat Defense with us today.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
What was that?
I said, fantastic. We appreciate our customers.
We do. We love the horse space. Not a more passionate group of people to bring a brand to market. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us, for answering all these questions. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you.
You too.
Nice to meet you guys. We're going to go ahead and draw the winners.
Powder up.
Two winners.
We're going to draw two winners. So the first winner is Caitlin Thomas. And the second winner is Julia Collier.
Yay!
Congratulations.
All right, a couple things before we get off here today. Please join Melanie and I again next Thursday. We're going to be live with Spartan Mosquito Pro Tech. And
Don't forget to get signed up for our Off to the Races sweepstakes going on. It ends June 18th, so get signed up now. Lots of great prizes in there.
thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Vince, Sandy, and Zena.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.